Hi everyone, we're back with an unusual video. We're going to take a look at the Kickstarter that released like 10 days ago or so. There are 19 days more, like you can see here, probably less once you see the video. I like this Kickstarter. I'd like to present it because it's made here in Spain, and I generally think it's probably the best 15mm modeling I've seen so far. We'll have like you can see here, 4 armies and more than 100 STL models. There are 2 main armies, which will be New Kingdom Egyptian and the Hittite Empire. Both of them made to represent the Battle of Qadesh, especially. But as you can see, as you can know already, the list cover a wider range of years, so you will be able to use it in at least 1 or 2 versions of the list. We're going to look at DBA 3.0 specifically, and Triumph Army List, because I think those are the games we play more, DBA and Triumph, here on this channel. And well, I prepared quite a simple way to show it. We have the TTS mod here. I took the images and I want to just go through both lists. Well, both. I think we'll have 6 different lists actually, and I'd like to take a look at all of them, having what DB3 list tells us we need for each unit. So let's take a look at this first one. I think it's actually probably one of the best lists here. We have blades and light chariots that are used as normal cavalry, a bit deeper the base. We have 3 or 4 bow, an extra blade if we want, and a psiloi. I think it's quite a nice army, not an extreme one. Aggressiveness 2, terrain is literal. The light chariot, it's supposed to be 2-horse chariot, so that's what we are going to see mostly on this Kickstarter. The other light chariots can use these amazing light chariots displayed here. Same thing with 2 chariots. We already know that the ones on the guys on the chariot can be removed. They are actually printed separately, so we can use them as separate models for archers or even some kind of captain or whatever we want to do. And we can mount different units on top of this, which allow us to make as many different light chariots as we want. If we are going to play another maybe bigger war game that's not DBA, the option that tells us to be 4 blade here, the first one, let's take this with me. It specifically says heavy axeman, so I believe the royal ward is perfectly fit for this. The Egyptian warriors, this, I think the list tells us that the 3 blade bases are supposed to be spearmen, but I mean, for what we know, they can be used, the warriors can be used as well for these blades. I think they are actually quite nice. We do have a spearman here, the Nubian spearman, so those are an option too. I think I mixed the armies though. Let me take a look at here. These two bowmen goes here, warband. This guy's here with the extra blade. There you go. And one of the silver. Okay, let's continue. We have the bowmen. We have up to 4 bases in this first option of the list. This is the A option. I think it's the correct one, since correct Qadesh is supposed to be on 1274 before Christ. But we may be using the second one, since it's not going to change that much. The bowmen, I think they are quite nice. They are light bowmen, you could say. The ones on the chariot may display some kind of armor, so you can use them however you want, but the poses are amazing. The Libyan warband will take that for the second one, for the second army, though you can use them as well here as Siloi if you want to. For the Siloi, we have the skirmishers, the Nubian skirmishers. They are bowmen and javelin men. And the camp, especially for Triumph, this is quite interesting, but here on DBA we just have a regular camp. We'll be able to mount it the normal tent. I'm not sure how big it is. I think it will fit. This is probably, I'm not quite sure, but at least the tent is going to fit perfectly. The second version of the army, it says the same thing for the first chariots, right? We don't have to change them at all. We don't have for blade royal ward option. The list does not tells us to use heavy axemans, but it's supposed to be spearmen again, like the ones here, the Nubian spearmen. But why not using them? They are cool. They're really cool. So I think you can use them however you want. The two bases of bowmen, same thing again. The warband and the here can be. We have it here. We can use the Libyan warband. It specifically says on the list it's supposed to be Libyans. So I think that's the reason they made these models. We have the Siloi again, skirmishers here. And the option 3 blade or 4 blade, it says Sherdin, which I don't really know what it is, but why not using them? Just to difference them, you can use the spearmen for these blades and maybe the warriors for these two options. I think you can do whatever you want, obviously, but just following the instructions on the list. We do have more than enough variety to make the whole army list, right? Let's step up to the Hittite. The Hittite Imperial Army, this one is the early one. I think the Qadesh one is specifically this one because it starts with the year of the Battle of Qadesh. But well, we can do this as well. The light chariot. It tells us on the list it's supposed to be the same kind of chariot but with 2 guys. So for this early list we could use the Syrian light chariots for the general as well. We can just take the general model and mount it on a Syrian chariot, but why not using this with just 2 guys? Not much different. Of course, the heavy chariots here on the second list, the horse with the bards and the kind of platform it's displayed, I think it's more suitable for the heavy chariots. We also have 3 pike bases. We'll have light spear on Triumph, which is mostly the same thing, and the Hittite spearmen and the Hittite royal ward, which are mostly spearmen or guys with swords, can fit perfectly there. The auxilia, it's more difficult to use here. It says Anatolian or Syrian spearmen, so I think this can be perfect for those as well. The main difference is the 3 pike bases supposed to be Hittite, and the Anatolian or Syrian spearmen are here on the auxilia one. I mean, the Hittite Empire was mostly Anatolian, so not sure what's the difference here, but we can use the royal ward as auxilia we want, just to difference them easily. The horde, we do have a Hittite horde here model, so I think that fits perfectly, although we will have extra option that I will show you later. These ones are the main core options and the goals that are already unlocked. So we have Silois as well. One of them tells us to be Syrian and the other one tells us to be Hittite or some kind of vassals, which would be the Syrians, and the other one is skirmishers of bowmen. You can use them however you want. And the camp, of course, Hittite city is modular, so we can be using it for other armies as well, because the design is the normal biblical design, so I think it will fit in whichever army you want. The second version of the army is the one we already said, it's more accurate for the Battle of Qadesh. We have general in a heavy chariot and an extra heavy chariot one, so we can use these heavy chariots here. The light chariots are down to 2 models instead of 4 bases. We still have the 3 pike bases that won't change. We can use the Hittite spearmen, we have the horde, we have the auxilia, and we have 2 Siloi. The only difference here is that the chariots are somehow upgraded to heavy chariots. I think it's a nice list as well. Not sure which I like more, but this may be more suitable for both open and difficult terrain, although the archers on the Egyptian may be a problem for the amount of chariots we have on the Hittite. Not sure which is better. It depends on the terrain, of course. The third army, probably my favorite in both modeling and list, is the Sea People one. I think it's a quite a competitive one, mostly blades. Probably not the best here of these 3, but I really like the idea of the Sea Peoples. We don't know much about them, but we still make lists and miniatures about them. It's like kind of not specifically fantasy, but we imagine how would be them, right? We don't have much information. The light chariot or heavy chariot or blade as the general. The general blade, we will use the warriors as well for the 4 blade bases. They're supposed to be chieftains in armor and their retinue. The light chariot, we will have, if we unlock it, we will have a general specifically for the Sea Peoples, but in case we don't reach that goal, we can use Syrian light chariots. The only difference that tells the list to be on the heavy or light chariot, it's that the same thing as Hittite, depends if you have 3 or 2 people on the top. So the heavy chariot, you just have to add another one if they fit. Not sure about that. Let's go forward. We already know the 4 blades are the chieftains. The 3 blades we can use the warband. They're the ones with the horns. I think that they're the mostly these guys are displayed in every brand of miniatures we know. The Sea People spearmen, the auxilia, I think they fit perfectly. Kind of some of them not using even the shield or not having shield, and I don't know, the spearmen are usually more suitable for auxilia guys, although the list specifically says Sheklesh or Teresh javelin men, so not exactly javelin men, but we can think they are. Why not? The spears are not quite long. The last thing is that we have, instead of 3 auxilia, we can mix or have up to 3 Siloi bases, skirmishers, which tell us they are the same. So we can use just the skirmishers here. We do have 2 guys here with javelin in case we want to use it as auxilia too, but why not using the skirmishers, the archers, as Siloi? That's perfect. And one of my favorite, the camp, this amazing boat. I think it's probably the main reason I like this so much. I really like the fact that they make boats. It's quite difficult to have boats, especially for this kind of era. I don't know, I really like it. Next one and last, the early Hebrew army. we will have a nice diorama here, but first we have to build the army. We do have two options of auxilia. Both of them can be displayed with these Moses and priest models. Not that the priests are going to fight, but I mean the models are amazing. Why not using them? The warband, well, we have a warband models, so I think those are perfect in this case. The spearmen will be perfect for the auxilia options. We have up to 8 auxilia, not that good army, but instead of auxilia we could take up to 3 psiloi with an extra option of psiloi or bowmen, so we can use the bowmen. We do have here skirmishers. The only thing we may lack on this Kickstarter is probably that the Hebrew don't have archers, which can be solved if you take the Syrian bowmen, knowing that the ropes are quite similar. Even the things on the head, they're quite similar, so I don't see why not using them as Hebrew archers. So let's place these guys here as well. And the camp, the Ark of the Covenant. This is an amazing model. We do have this in several Hebrew armies, and this will be especially useful for Triumph when you have the pack trains and herds battle card. Sorry. This will be the whole amount of armies here on DBA, and if we take a look at the Kickstarter itself, those are all the ones you already saw. Sea people and the Hebrew ones. Here we are about to reach this David versus Goliath diorama. They can be used as individual models as well. And the Death of the Pharaoh's Firstborn. Both of them, not sure if you can use them. Probably the Death of the Pharaohs, you can mount it as a camp as well, if you want to. The David versus Goliath, of course, that can be like the general, and it will be fit perfectly instead of Moses. And we do have extra stretch goals. In case we reach them, we have alternative command groups for both Hittite, Egyptian, and we have, like I said before, the Sea People chariots with an alternative general on top, so we can mount different models. Not that the Egyptian and the Hittite command group will be very useful for DBA, but I'm sure they can be useful for another war games. Like for example, a Triumph. If you are playing Grand Triumph and you can use you can use the general, you can use any base of the army. So you could mount an extra base with the command group, which is really nice. The Sea People chariots, they're useful. Why not? Especially if you are using more than one chariot for another war games. We do have generic civilians here of the ancient Near East. They will be perfect for some kind of camps if we want to use them, and for hordes as well. We do have horde on the Hittite, if I'm not mistaken. We do have here the Syrian Javelineers. Like I said before, the Syrian Javelineers was not required, but they tell us that they could be used in the, if I'm not mistaken, Hittite army. And well, why not using them as another thing if they are quite generic? We don't know yet how are they. And the Kushite horsemen, more suitable I think for the Egyptian. We don't need them for either neither Triumph or DBA, but extra models, they're always fine. The last thing to show before going to Triumph is we have here, you can take a look on the link on the description if you want. We have here the armies painted and displayed on both 15 and 28 millimeters, which is amazing because they actually are very nice models for 28 millimeters. Hittite army. Sea Peoples, my favorite. I think these bases are I don't know how he did that, but I'll try to do the same because I really like it. And the last one, the blue with Moses and the Ark of the Covenant. So we can pledge both 35 or 40. The only difference is that the first one is unsupported, the second one is pre-supported, when there's no reason to not to take the 41, because and I don't know if you know they already have all the armies painted. They have probably supported them the right way. So that's the idea, that you can take the commercial one if you have a 3D printer and the people around you doesn't, and you can sell them even online, I believe. So those are the options. We have two more things to look at. The first one is that a bit down on the same page you have these free models. These ones are free, one Hittite spearman and one Egyptian warrior. The detail here is, I think it's amazing. I know I said that several times, but even for 28mm they look so good. They're not like all the generic ones. This guy here with kind of half bald, but with the long hair and everything. I don't know. I really like it. So here on the down of the Kickstarter, you'll be able to see the free models. They will bring you here. You can say I want this, and that's all. Well, let's go to Triumph. This will be, I think, quite easy. We do have the four armies here. Oh, let's open them, of course. Are all of them? Yeah. Okay. Let's lock them so I can delete. You know, every time you load Triumph, some things jump here. Okay. And okay. Again, New Kingdom Egyptian. Let's start with the camp. Camp can be pack trains and herds. You can use the tent, but you do have the fortified camp as an option, so that's perfect for this camp. We do have the 2-horse chariot for both the general and the normal chariots. I'll go faster on this, okay? We do have riders or heavy foot as infantry army with a spear and sidearm. So we do have here spear and sidearm. Not both of them at the same time, but I mean, you can use them however you want. The Egyptian Royal Ward, perfect for the elite foot, which specifically says Royal Ward for after 76, which is 2 years after Qadesh, before Qadesh, sorry. The archers, you have bowmen, the lightfoot, infantry armed with javelins. You have the Libyan warband. You do have the Syrian one if you want to use more generic, like you saw before, but I think the Libyan will be perfectly. Egyptian or Canaanite, not sure if you can, this javelin guys, but since it's lightfoot, you may be using the Nubian spearman as well. Libyan, Bedouin, Palestinian javelin, you have all of them on the rubble, and the skirmisher as Nubian, Egyptian or Canaanite skirmisher bowman. You can use the spearman if you want. You have here 2 models of bowman, but you can use the Egyptian here. So you do have everything you need for this Egyptian army on Triumph. The Hittite one, same thing. You have the camp, quite a fortified camp for not having the battle car, but we don't really care about that. Okay, the chariots, depends. It says no difference here if they are 2 or 3 people on top of the chariot, so we can take whichever we want. Standing or seasonal army spearmen, there you go. Horde, we have the conscripts here, the horde. Anatolian Basal javelinmen, here we would use the Syrian javelinmen we saw before, that not sure we are going to reach. I really think we are, and I hope we do. The skirmishers will be both. Here we have slingers and bowmen. Gas gun swordsman. I don't think we have swordsmen here for this warband, but the Hittite horde, I think they look perfect for these guys. They do have axes and swords. The riders, the Luca. We know the Luca is one of the warrior of the sea people that we see on the charts on the Egyptian guys, and they are a region on the Hittite Empire, not easy to rule. So we can use the warband here if we want, but probably the more accurate would be this, because I think, not quite sure, but I think the Luca were displayed with this kind of helmets, but you can use both of them if you want. And Shasu or Sutu Bedouin. For Lightfoot or Rubble, you can use, why not using, where are you? I lost it. So you can use any of the hordes, or even the Syrian one if you want Bedouin, the Sheshu. Not mandatory for this era, but I think with all the models we have, we can manage to take them. The Sea Peoples, the Battle Taxi, like we know, they're not chariots. We can use the Syrian ones, or using the ones that are coming. Well, sorry, the camp, the elite foot here, it's quite similar to DBA in this case. The warband will be the riders. Shield is Javelin Men. This, not sure if it's correct as Rubble, but we do have these guys as Javelin Men, like we said on DBA. Otherwise, we can use the Syrian ones. The Libyan will probably be not that correct. And the Skirmishers, perfect for this bowman. And the Horde, Migrant Families. This is where we can use the peasants we have, the families we have on the later stretch goals. Let me show you again. Where is it? Which one is it? Because I think the Sea People is the most affected with the last goals. Let's change these guys here. Both the alternative general on chariot and the generic civilians. That would be perfect for the Sea People horde as migrant families. And the last one, these guys here, of course, we do have pack trains and herd displaying the Ark of the Covenant. We have riders as picked men. The general will be Lightfoot or riders, so you can use however you want. The riders can be use the warband if you want to, or you can let them for the warband and use the priests for these guys. You have the Hebrew spearmen. When not using, I think, them for any other thing, so you can use them as rider as well. The skirmishers we have here, this are only slingers, and if we want bowmen, like we said before, you can use the Syrian ones. The tribesmen with javelin, probably the Syrian or even the Libyan one can be perfect for this, but I think it's better to use the Libyan. But we also have here spearmen that can be javelin men, and the rubble other every tribesmen armed with javelin, same thing, you can use the Syrian ones. These two armies probably are less complete in this case, of course, for Triumph, but I think the main ones are perfectly combined with these models. I really like the models. I know I've said that several times. You can take a look at the Kickstarter yourself if you want, and I really recommend it. My intention with this video is just giving you the information, because I'm not sure that all the people already know, and since we are so many people here on the channel that plays DBA and Triumph all over the world, I think this is the best way to let the people know, specifically for this channel. And well, that would be all. If you have any question, you can ask us on the YouTube comments, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope it's not too long. See you next time, guys.